restaurant friends, I'm Courtney and I'm back with the CRA News You Need to Know. We've been talking a lot lately about the state's Extended Producer Responsibility Program, the recent June 1st compliant deadline, and what that means for restaurants. Among the end goals of the EPR program is the requirement for 100% of packaging in California to be recyclable or compostable by 2032. And 65% of all single-use plastic packaging must actually be recycled. Well, here's something that complicates our ability to comply. The state also changed the definition of what it means to be recyclable with the enactment of Senate Bill 343. The changes represent a dramatic shift from allowing packaging to be labeled as recyclable, if the material is in fact recyclable, to a model that allows the term recyclable only when certain thresholds of recycling are met throughout the state. If the packaging material does not get recycled at the mandated rate, then it's banned from the market for use, even if the material is in fact recyclable. So one would think it would be important to inform our guests and consumers about how and where to recycle their food service packaging so that we can hit those recycling thresholds, right? Well, that would allow those products to remain on the market. But the state limited our ability to communicate that information to guests by enacting Senate Bill 343. Which restricts such labeling or speech on the packaging itself, even when factually accurate. That's exactly why a broad coalition of restaurants, farmers, food producers, packaging manufacturers, and grocers filed a federal lawsuit challenging California's Senate Bill 343. In that lawsuit, the CRA and coalition partners are calling the law an unconstitutional restriction on free speech that will reduce recycling, confuse consumers, and increase cost pressures for California families. The lawsuit argues that Senate Bill 343 operates as government-imposed censorship, prohibiting product makers from informing consumers when their packaging is recyclable unless the material satisfies rigid and arbitrary regulatory criteria set by the state. The CRA and coalition partners are seeking a preliminary injunction to block enforcement of the law, which goes into effect on October 4th of this year. Developing a circular economy depends on consumers knowing what and how to recycle. When a restaurant sends food home in a container, when a dairy farmer ships milk to a grocery store, when a food producer packages berries, nuts, or proteins, that packaging needs a clear path back into the recycling stream. Senate Bill 343 cuts off that communication. That's wrong, and that's why we're fighting for our members and asking the courts to intervene. And just last week, the hearing on the preliminary injunction took place, and we were glad to have our day in court where our issues were all thoroughly aired, and we look forward to the court's ruling. I'm Courtney. That's the CRA News You Need to Know. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be right back here soon.